Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this episode, I am going to talk about the Arabic language. The Arabic language is the language of the Quran, is the language of Hadith, is the language of Sunnah, is the language of Islam. It's very important for all Muslims to master the Arabic language. Why? Because to understand all the regulations and rules and Sharia, you have to understand Arabic, and to perform your prayers and to perform your dua and to be connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's perfect that you know all about the Arabic language so that you can master your religion. Now, if we look into the importance of Arabic language is one of the oldest living languages. Among the spoken languages on earth, the Arabic language is the oldest. About, some authors say, about 1700 years old. So compared to French and English, which are about 650 years, you feel this is one of the oldest languages that's still in use. If we look into the importance among countries, there are about 25 countries that use Arabic language as the official language or as the semi-official language. So all the regulations and the rules and the publications and the government declaration, whatever, and the business is done in Arabic language in 25 countries. If we look into how spread is the Arabic language is the fifth language in use on the world. There are 4 languages that precede the Arabic language, and the Arabic language is the fifth. How important is this? We know now there are about 7,000 languages plus maybe 100, 140 on earth. And the rank of the Arabic language is the fifth. So this is very important rank. These languages are English, Mandarin, which is Chinese, Hindi, Spanish, and Arabic. Arabic is the fifth. That means that Arabic is widely used among mankind. Now, if we consider that there are about 1.3 billion Muslims and they need the Arabic language, they don't master it. If they master it, then we have about 1/5 of the people on earth use Arabic language, then the Arabic language will go up to number 1 or 2. So it's only our effort as Muslims to use the Arabic language, study it and spread it, because it's very important. The Arabic language is rich in meanings, in vocabularies, rich in literature, rich in science, rich in religion. I mean, all the new development we see in the West was based on Arabic language and the translation that the Muslim did during the Islamic era. So it's very important that we give the right consideration to the Arabic language. Now, if we look into the United Nations, there are 6 languages used in the UN. One of them is Arabic. So all the declaration, all the speeches, all the decisions, all the meeting are translated into Arabic and documented in Arabic. And don't forget that Arabic is a written language and is preserved because the Quran and its meaning and its way of writing does not change over the last 1,500 years. So this gives another advantage, because all the archives that are in Arabic, you can read them and understand them after 1,000, 1,200 years. But other languages, if you take a manuscript that's 400 years old, it's very difficult to understand it and to read it, because there is major changes in the meaning, in the words and everything. So Arabic language has an added value in the sense that it's preserved, it's written, it's rich, and we should really think about mastering the Arabic language. In business, in all the transaction in the world, all the business, the Arabic language rank the 7th among the languages on earth. So it's very important for us in religion. It's very important politically if we are going to work with politics and United Nations and United Nations agencies, etc. It's very important in business. It's very important also in business transactions, because if this is the 7th language and it's used 25 countries and it's used in the UN, and it's one of the oldest language, not the one, it's the number one as the oldest language, or the oldest written and spoken language, and is still in use. So it's very important that we give special consideration to learning and teaching of the Arabic language. Now, in the West, let's look into Europe. In Europe, there are about 44 million Muslims. They represent 6% of the population of Europe. If we look into the EU, there are 19 million Muslims, plus maybe. They represent 3.8% of the population of the EU. If we look into the United Kingdom, there are 3.37 or 3.38 million Muslims, which represent 5% of the population. So the Arabic language is needed for this number of Muslims, not only to understand religion, but to enhance relations among nations, to enhance business, to enhance dialogue, to enhance dialogue between communities. So if we put an effort that we make the Arabic language the 2nd language in most of European countries. So let's say if I speak German or French or English or Italian or Spanish, I should adopt the Arabic language as the 2nd language. This is very important. Why? Because then our communities, our Muslim communities, will be building bridges between the different communities, and we can have good relations inside the same country, because now we are divided among as Muslims, some people speak Arabic, some people speak Urdu, some people speak Kurdish, some people, they are African or French. It's very difficult for us to communicate as Muslims, to come together in the same mosque or in the same Islamic Cultural Center and enrich our life and enrich the life of our children. So it's very important that we put an effort that we can ask the governments, different governments, to introduce Arabic language as in the curriculum, so that students, Muslims and non-Muslims, have a chance to learn it, because it will open for them a chance in the future for business, for jobs, for political future, for good relations. Because, as you know, many people work in embassies or work in Department of Foreign Affairs, and they have to be exposed to people who speak Arabic and literature in Arabic. And so it's very important. Mutual understanding and mutual cooperation between Muslims and non-Muslims is needed, is essential for a peaceful coexistence on earth. So it's very important that other people also understand the Arabic language and learn the Arabic language. It will bring us closer to each other, it will bring the community closer, and it will bring the countries closer, and it will bring the nations closer. It will unify us as Muslims, to unify our Muslim organization. It will build bridges between our communities and our countries. So it's very important that we put an effort, every one of us, to ask the governments to introduce the Arabic language and to establish and to recognize it as a 2nd language at the university for acceptance. I ask every one of you to participate in this effort. It's very important. Now, in the UK and in Ireland, Arabic language is accepted as a 2nd language for admission in the university, which is very good. So, but we want that to happen in other countries. So we have to put an effort. This is a must for us. Why? Because if you read the translation of the Quran and Hadith and Sunnah and Sharia, you are reading the understanding of the person who translated. But if you master the Arabic language, then you know what you are reading exactly, and you can understand it and you can apply it perfectly. So it's very important that we put an effort in that direction. At the end of this episode, I'll ask every one of you to subscribe to the channel if you feel that this channel is useful and should continue, and this is your contribution to the success of the channel. And in the end, I will say, till we meet again, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.